So what's up, everyone? So my name is Sean. I'm analyst working at Nordstrom, and today we have our live stream where I'm going to be eating a taquito. One second. All right. Sorry about that. I had to remove my mask. Sorry. So I don't just eat a taquito. I like answer questions that y'all might have about data analytics, data science, anything like that. I try and do this live stream every Friday. I do a live stream every Thursday morning. That one's a lot more consistent. The Friday evening ones can be a little bit difficult to do sometimes because, well, I mean, it's a Friday evening. And I try and keep them consistent with a certain time zone. Okay, there we go. I try to keep them consistent with like a certain time zone, which can be a little bit difficult sometimes. All right, so let's see what questions we have coming in. Hello, everyone. Hey, Cheyenne, great to see you. Great to see you. I'm gonna turn on. Oh, I don't want to turn on the light. That might kill the battery. All right, so Harsha Rathor. Sir, please guide how to start from scratch to see oneself as a data analyst or business analytics professional. Considered base level education. Okay. What you driving? I'm driving a Lexus SC300. So how about this? Let me take a bite of my taquito because I'm very, very hungry. I'm going to drive a minute in that direction, and then I will show you guys the car and start answering your questions. Really good. All right, so Harshal Rathor, please guide how to start from scratch to see oneself as a data analyst or business analytics professional. Base level education has bachelor's and non-IT. Give your idea things. Okay, so the advice I give most people, and Noah Christie's correct, is that yes, go ahead and get your bachelor's degree first. I don't believe that like from a like practical perspective, or so I don't believe from a like technical perspective you need a degree to be a data analyst, but practically speaking, at least in the US, you do. You're gonna need that bachelor's degree. You might be able to get away with an associate's depending on the company you're working at, but I think you're unnecessarily limiting your salary potential because a lot of jobs are arbitrarily looking for people with bachelor's degrees. After you do that, I got mine in chemistry, which is completely unrelated to analytics in my career. The next step is I would pick up a BI a BI tool and SQL if I were you. So I have a free course on Tableau. BI tool stands for Business Intelligence Tool, by the way. So I have a free course on Tableau. I would then pick up something in SQL, pick up some SQL knowledge, and from there you should be able to start applying to jobs. Sorry about that, guys. I just wanted to. So I'm actually right next to a restaurant I'm gonna be eating with my parents, and I didn't want to stay at the Quick Trip and which is the gas station here, and use up their parking spot when I didn't, wasn't planning on buying anything else from them. Okay, so Noah Christie, ever considered ML engineer instead of data science? Also, I am seeing a lot of DA jobs asking for why. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people are stuck in what you call Excel hell, which is, Excel is a great tool and all, but like, it hits its limitations very, very quickly. And if you want to do analytics at any scale, Excel is not going to get you there. Again, it's a tremendous tool. I use it every single day for just various tasks I need to do. And I use it a lot in my personal life as well because, well, Google Sheets really, but Excel is a tremendous tool. But I would say, yeah, if a job is asking for a lot of BBA, it may not be the job you want to get because you're going to be doing a lot of it. All right, let me get my chicken taquito out, and let's see what other questions we have. Okay, so what you driving? So I'm driving a Lexus SC300. I bought this a couple of years ago. And I've absolutely loved it. As you can see, because I was distracted with the live stream, I parked way over the curb, but luckily it has a clearance to where that's like not an issue at all. That's actually one thing I really like about it. But yeah, no, it's a SC300, really, really nice. So for anyone that is like in the know, this is like what the Toyota Supra is based off of. So the Toyota Supra is based off of this car. Like the chassis on this car. So yeah, that's I got it a couple of years ago. Love it. All right, what else we got?
Can you explain how you got your first job? So, I got my first job because I managed to get an internship at like a company I was working at. And I was working in IT and I absolutely hated it. And I had no idea what to do. I wasn't like trying to get into analytics or anything. Went into IT, did that, absolutely hated it. And so I went to the sixth floor where the supply chain department was working. And I started asking people around, like, do they have work or anything for me? And after doing that a whole bunch, I was able to like find some work. And one of the directors saw that like I was like literally just going around asking people, hey, can you like help me? Can I like get some work from y'all? And she recommended me to another director who was setting up an analytics team, and that's how I ended up getting it. So quite literally, it was like I got an internship and I just started begging for work, and eventually someone gave me a job. Neb Santos, can you do a video on data analysis tool pack in Excel? You know what? I think that's actually a good idea because it'll go over some like really important statistical concepts. So I think I will do like an Excel video on that. I get a lot of questions as to like whether I can do a tutorial on Excel like I have for Python and SQL. And I don't think I would do a full Excel tutorial because I think I'm like horribly underqualified for that. But I think I could do like a tutorial on the analysis pack. That I think I could do. When should you start freelancing, and when is it worth it? I mean, I say you can start as soon as you pick up some useful skills. As soon as I learned Python, I started freelancing. And what I did is I would charge, so you can do freelancing multiple ways, right? You can charge by the project, or you can charge an hourly rate. And what I did is I charged clients 1 out of every 3 hours I worked. So I would work for 3 hours and then charge them 1, because I was very inexperienced, and that let me learn while at the same time providing my clients with a good value and getting me a good rating on Upwork. I'm not sure it helps that this guy went to a top school. So I went to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. It is ranked like number 20 or 21, depending on like, you know, what year of the US News Report you decide to look at. So it's definitely a good school, but very, very expensive and very, it's incredibly difficult. Unnecessarily so, in my opinion. Can you do longer videos with SQL and Python interview questions? Yeah, sure. I'll definitely get onto that. Recommend a Python course to me. Your follower from Egypt. Hey, so I mean, I recommend my Python course. I think my Python course is like one of the best ones out there for data analytics. I mean, I'm incredibly biased, but like, you know, I made it with the intention of it being one of the best ones out there. Not bad. I think they could make these a bit crispier and they'd be better. Like, I really like my chicken taquitos to be crispy. What do you think of Texas? What makes you want to leave? I don't know. I have my opinions of Texas. I've spent like probably most of my life here at this point. At the end of the day, great state. Like it's hey, what's up, Weeb Course? At the end of the day, like broadly speaking, I like the state. You know, low taxes, relatively high salaries are available for compared to the cost of living over here. Like, for the salaries I can make here, I can buy a house like today in Texas. I'll be going to Seattle, where at the salary I make over there, which is more than I make over here, it would be difficult for me to buy a house without putting like a very small amount of money down. So Texas has a lot of its advantages. I would also say like, I find it very boring after a while. Like, you know, I've kind of exhausted what there is to do in like Dallas and Houston. So that's kind of why I want to go and like see something else. I wonder if I like lived in like New York or something, like, or like a place where like, you know, you kind of can't get bored over there. If I would think the same thing. So I don't know if it's like a Texas thing or if it's like, or like a Dallas thing, or if it's like a me thing, or if it's just a, you know, I've been here for so long, but either way, I definitely needed a change of scenery. So are Kaggle competitions worth the time, or should there be a focus on side jobs? I think it depends. The benefit of side jobs is you get paid to learn in many ways. Yeah, so I would say that's like a big benefit to side jobs. On the other hand, Kaggle competitions can stretch your brain in more interesting ways many times. And I kind of had that dilemma right now where I've taken on so many consulting projects that I don't really have time for Kaggle competitions, even though I would like to do some because they're so interesting. So that's what I would say. Okay, Aroa Coyote. I find EDA difficult. Can you suggest resources to help me learn them better? So I would suggest chapter 1 of practical, of practical statistics for data scientists. I have a video of it on my, YouTube channel. I posted it relatively recently, like maybe 3 weeks ago. So I recommend that if you're looking for like what to do. I think I have 2 EDA videos on my YouTube channel, so I recommend that one and another one. Yeah, so that's what I would recommend. EDA can be difficult because oftentimes it's difficult to know like where to even start in reference to like a new data set that you get a hold of. And I would always recommend starting off with like basic plotting, your basic data statistics and things like so you have your descriptive statistics and then things like basic visualizations. That's what I'd start off with. Tips for Upwork or any freelancing platform. So the thing I said earlier is like what some advice I would give. I would definitely recommend that if you find yourself relatively inexperienced, go ahead and charge your clients for only 1 out of every 3 hours you work or something like that, right? That way you can learn and get paid. I mean, obviously at a lower rate, but you're getting paid at least. So, while at the same time providing your clients with good value, and they'll come back to you and they'll give you good ratings and all kinds of stuff. I think the trick to things like Upwork is making some sacrifices at the beginning and getting that ranking upwards. That way you can start demanding a higher rate. Once you have a high ranking, you can demand high rates from clients because people, when it comes to consulting, people get what they pay for, like more so than anything else. Like with consulting, you very much get what you pay for because the best consultants are like able to charge the most money. So that's what I recommend. One-winged angel. I feel the same way. I've been in Texas most of my life. It's definitely not a place to stay in my opinion. Just go explore. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I mean, I'm investing in Texas real estate, and I think I could see cities like Dallas in like 20 to 30 years being like particularly interesting, and maybe I come and like return to them as like more people come over here. It starts getting a little bit denser and more cultural. The problem with Dallas, I'd say, is that there isn't much in the way of like a city culture here. Like even Fort Worth has better culture than Dallas does. Like Dallas is just kind of weird in that like there doesn't seem to be much in the way of culture in the city. If anyone disagrees with me, feel free to let me know. I think but that is like an opinion that like me and a number of other people I know share. All right, QT Pie. Oh, QT Pie, that's pretty funny. I'm an electrical and electronics engineering grad with a master's in data science and business analytics. Awesome. But I have no experience in data analytics / science. What should I put on my resume instead? Okay, so I would not lie about it. If you have an internship, really try and like talk about that. I have a video coming up in the next week or two where I talk precisely about what you're talking about, what you're supposed to do if you are just graduating and don't have any experience to put on your resume. Outside of that, I think I would recommend really talk about like relevant coursework you've done. And if you've done any interesting projects, go ahead and talk about that. Those are also very useful. So if you have like interesting projects that like, you can talk about how they might be useful to a company, then I highly recommend that. AN75, hey, great to see you. What's your opinion of data analysts working in finance versus tech? I think it comes down to what you're interested in. I personally have no interest, like I have zero interest in finance personally. So I couldn't find myself doing it. And I think that, but it does pay well. Yeah, I mean, it does pay well. I think that's all I can personally say about it. So that's not me boohooing the profession at all. I just have no interest in finance myself. But I have a lot of respect for people that like work in finance because this stuff is very, very necessary for many aspects of our society. But I think tech is a lot more interesting. And I think the pay between the two can actually be quite similar, unless you're a financial analyst. That's a little bit different. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I have the most educated opinion on it because finance is not really my cup of tea. Okay, so a family friend / potential client has a 500 US county Excel with 12 columns of data each. They ask if I can make a model / Excel or otherwise, so I could plug 11 hypothetical data points, and the model would spit out the 12th. What software Excel program would you use for this? So, I mean, I personally would use Python, but if you want to stick with Excel, you can do simple linear regressions in Excel quite easily using I think it's like the analytical tool pack. I think that there are also like add-ons for Excel that help you like run machine learning in Excel. So if I were you, I would look up machine learning Excel and then see if there's like a boosting algorithm or something you can use. One thing I would also ask is, do your clients care about explainability? Because if they don't care about explainability, you can find an algorithm that'll like be a really, really good predictor, but might be very, like you won't be able to say why. Like you can't say like, okay, if you boost this fact, or if you increase the values of columns 1 and 12, then that'll lead to a decrease in column 5. So you might not be able to do that. So I think ask yourself how important is explainability, because in some situations you just want to predict. In other situations, you actually need something that's explainable. So for example, a lot of business users care about things that are explainable. One, because they need to explain it to their bosses. And two, and probably more important, is it needs to be something that they can act on. Like, I think a lot of business people get frustrated because a lot of data scientists will bring them these like very beautiful analyses that they don't find particularly, that they can't like actually act on. Like it explains a lot, but it doesn't leave any room for like action. So I would ask myself that question if I were you. All right, so Fred, what made you hate IT? The company I was at originally, it has a particularly poor IT department, honestly. Like it's just not run very well, really. So I think that's definitely part of it. Also, like I personally want to be in a position where I am directly helping the business grow in what they do. And IT typically doesn't do that. So let me give the example of Nordstrom, for example. IT is incredibly important for us running our operations, and IT, like, you know, without IT, Nordstrom wouldn't be able to do what we do. But the work that IT does itself doesn't actually sell more handbags. It doesn't like sell more coats or something, you know? It's not directly tied to the business objectives of the organization. It's just necessary because so much infrastructure today is built off of computers and, you know, other stuff that has to be maintained by IT. So I think for me, I just have an interest in working more directly with things that benefit the core workings of the business, which IT typically doesn't do. How is the data science interview book? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So for anyone wondering, I'm reading a book called, so the author of Ace the Data Science Interview, I think it's like the top book in like the data section of Amazon right now. He gave me a free copy of his book. So he's one of the co-authors. He gave me a free copy of the book and asked me to review it, and he wants to show up on the channel in a couple of weeks. So I said, let me read it, and then, you know, I'll get back to you if I'm interested. I read it. It's quite good, and it not only that, it provides a lot of the advice I've been giving on my Q&As for a while, but have never compiled into a proper video. So I'm excited to put that all in like one video that I can point to and say like, hey guys, like if you want application advice and like interview advice, go check out this video and this book. So it's going pretty well. I just have to actually like sit down and put together like the notes for that video. Ooh, cool. We got a couple of questions over here. If you haven't already, make sure you like this video. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. All right, so Matt Dunn. Hey Shashank, love your videos. What kinds of projects do you think are cool to grab a recruiter's eye for entry-level data analyst positions? I'm a senior studying CS, no Python, SQL, and Tableau. Awesome. You know, Python, SQL, and Tableau. Knowing Python is probably going to be the most useful of those three things currently. I think anything you have a passion for is probably going to be the best thing. Like, it sounds like a lame answer, but like, here's the thing. The NFL, like NFL data sets are always really interesting, but if you have no passion for football, then you're gonna have a hard time, one, seeing a project to completion, and then two, explaining the project with any level of like excitement that actually makes the recruiter want to listen. So for me, the example I always give is that I'm very much into cars and I love cars. And so there's a lot of data that the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, so that's like the US is like central like automobile safety organization, I guess. They have a bunch of like data sets on like car performance and everything. And I did a project on that when I was a bit younger, more junior in my profession. And it made it a lot easier to explain stuff to the recruiters to be like, hey, this is like, you know, this is a correlation I found and this is why it's cool. So I think that doing it that way, like something you're passionate about, is probably the best way to go about it. All right, let's see what else we got. Amir Ali Khan. Hello, Shashank. I'm trying to learn Excel, Python to get into the field of a data analyst. I wanted your advice on which laptop process to go with between Intel i7 and Ryzen 7. So from a data analyst perspective, it doesn't matter. For the work that you do in data analytics and data science, that doesn't really matter. My understanding is that Ryzens tend to be better performing at a lower and use less power than Intel does currently, like in this generation. So as a very casual PC nerd, that's what I would recommend. But as a data analyst, I would say it doesn't matter. They're both the same thing, basically. The only thing that might matter is your GPU. You typically want to go with NVIDIA GPUs because they're just more widely. I mean, they support CUDA, which like can speed up the process of like training your models. All right, what else we got? One Winged Angel. Do you have any insights on research data analytics and how it differs from things you do in your profession? Not too much, unfortunately. I should ask some of my coworkers because some of them are like, or a couple of them are like PhDs and like went through that whole like research phase. So let me turn this on. Is it a quiet? There we go. And went through all that like research stuff, and I think that they might have a better idea. But I personally am not the biggest. I don't really know. I would say probably a major difference is the simplicity of a lot of corporate analytics, actually, because there's a lot of simple stuff you can do to drive like tremendous business value. So that's one thing I would say. Adamola Adikilikun. Hey Shashank, I'm one of your subscribers from Nigeria. Cool. It's pretty late in Nigeria right now, right? So let's see what's up. Can you recommend books on statistics and machine learning? So I think, so the book on machine learning that I would recommend is Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit, Keras, and TensorFlow. And the book on statistics that I would recommend is Practical Statistics for Data Scientists. I'm going over both on my channel. For Hands-on Machine Learning, I went over the first 9 chapters. Then it starts going into neural networks and stuff that like I personally don't need to worry about right now. So that's why I'm not really going over that. And then Practical Statistics for Data Scientists, I'm going over the first 3 chapters because after that, they really start to just talk about the same stuff that was talked about in Hands-on Machine Learning. Tips on getting a first internship to data analytics. Probably the same, I'd say, for like any job. Make sure, go to your college career center, see how they want you to format your resume. Find someone who's successfully gotten a job, format their resume, and talk to recruiters a lot. That's really all you can do, you know. Shyam Guranath, for black box models, we can use SHAP or Lime library to... okay, that's fair. So Shyam Guranath is talking about basically these 2 ways that you can simplify your model. So like I think Lime library allows you to like create a linear regression model that like estimates
as a
and you can use as a kind of a proxy for your model to figure out explainability of your different variables. So that's a good call out, Shyam Guranath. If you're interested in explainability with models, look up SHAP values and the Lime library. Very cool. Where to learn ERP from? I'm not too sure. I learned it just on the job working with the systems, honestly. Sam SL or SI, I'm not too sure. Yeah, thanks for answering, man. I know I need to use Python eventually. Yeah, the client doesn't need to see how the cake is made. They just basically want to use a machine calculator where you type values and other values spit out. Yeah, in which case I would just recommend finding the algorithm that gets you the best results. Shashank, are you transitioning from data analyst to data science? Yes, I'm in the process of doing so. I've talked to my director about it, and I've received no pushback, as in like, no, we really don't want you to do it. It's more like, let's like see how we can make the case that you actually deserve to be a data scientist. So I'm hoping in about a year I can do it. But we'll see. I mean, I haven't gotten any like timelines or stuff, and maybe that's my own fault for not really asking for that. Deepesh Kamani, how do you find intersection between data science with the traditional business/stakeholder problems? Wait, the intersection between data science and what? Will Francis, I consider you casually brilliant, definitely brilliant, but can explain things such an underrated skill. What are your... Oh, thanks, man. Let's see. What are the best free predictive software and other Excel and R? Not too big on programming. The best free predictive software other than Excel and R. You don't want to program, and you want something for free. That's difficult. Try Knime, spelled Knime. Will Francis. It is an open source, GUI based kind of replacement for Python and R. I was never really able to get into it myself. I was using Alteryx at the time, but Alteryx is also $6,000 per license per year. So the company provided it, obviously. So try Knime. Knime might be what you're looking for. What is the salary, Nishi asks, what is the salary difference between data analyst to data science in the USA? So I can say at my company, at the highest end, you can be looking at a $60,000 salary difference. Sorry, not at the highest end. I'd say at the mid-senior level. You could look at like a $60,000 difference in salaries. I think if you're talking about companies like Facebook and stuff, a skilled data, I think with a data analyst, the problem is you start to cap out what you are even like allowed to be making. And I think the only way a data analyst can make like more money eventually is like to get into like management. Yeah, you might be talking about like a 1.5 to 2x salary difference, honestly. If anyone has any better experience, let me know. But my understanding is that between a data scientist and a data analyst, you could be talking about a 1.5 to 2x times difference in salary. Anshal Chopra, hey Shashank, I started with data analysis, which I believe aligns with what you do now. Yep, it does. Can you tell how do you get to know what statistical tests to use when analyzing different data sets? Okay, so we're going to be going over that in chapter 3 of Practical Statistics for Data Analysts, or Data Scientists, which I hope to have out by tomorrow. It's a little bit of a complicated chapter, and I've been a bit lazy, so I'm working through it right now, and we talk about hypothesis testing, which is very important. Arvind R, hey, data scientists need web scraping? No, but I think it's a useful skill to like know the basics of, but no, they don't. Oh, hey, Eric Soriano, great to see you again. AS, hey Shashank, I somehow found my way into a BA role at a bank. Awesome. Use SQL and Excel heavily. How do I get better at it and make it easier for me to transition into being an asset? Just lots of practice, I'd say practice every single day. When you go home, just start querying random stuff, see what you can do, see what you can find. It'll help you also better understand your company's data set. So I would say the only way to get better at something is targeted practice. So you can only control a couple of things, right? You can only control what you're practicing and how long you're practicing it for. So those are the two variables that are within your control. And so I would say focus on those variables, you can go home, you can, query more data sets. You can set up tasks as to where it's like, okay, I want to like achieve this business objective. What do I need to do to get there? I would say that's another thing you could do. Go ahead and set up some like learn the business and figure out, okay, like what like analyses would be useful for the business to know. And then define that clearly, write all that out, and then see what queries you need to write in order to like actually answer those questions. Okay, so Eslam Ali. Hi Shashank, I learned Python, NumPy, and Pandas, and all statistics courses in Data Camp, and I have a certification from Udacity in data analysis, but I don't have a strong knowledge in SQL. Can I apply to a job? Depends on what job you're looking for. It's really funny. So at my company, we have this position called Data Scientist Level 1, where they expect you to know Python relatively well, but you can be a like super beginner at SQL and they're okay with it. I disagree with okay, so the framework they used to like create that was like created by data scientists and data analysts, which is why I'm like, I feel kind of dumb for disagreeing with it, because I'm like, these guys obviously know more than I do, but like I don't understand how a data scientist can't know SQL, because it's like, how do you extract data from a database without SQL? I guess not all data has to be stored in databases, that's fair, but like so much corporate data is that like, are there really people out there who are like not using SQL to pull data out of their databases? I don't know. So I would say it depends on what kind of job you want. And SQL is easy. If you know Python, SQL is really easy. At least the basics of it are. When you start getting into really complicated transformations, SQL can be very annoying because of how restrictive it is. But yeah, SQL is pretty easy. Hi Shashank, I learned Python, NumPy. Oh, sorry, Eric Soriano. Hey Shashank. Hey Eric. I got my first job as a data analyst. Awesome. Learning a lot about finance. I really appreciate your videos and streams. Now I'm seeing the importance of domain knowledge. Awesome. What is the biggest challenge you're facing in your transition from DA to DS? The biggest challenge is finding work that allows me to use the skills I'm picking up, because there's so much low-hanging fruit with like dashboards and BI and like SQL and stuff. And I've unfortunately kind of branded myself as a like Python guy, and I've kind of like I've invested a little bit too much time into like just like being in Python, when like as a data scientist, obviously I should know Python or like, you know, some programming language. I need to like also understand the actual business and like, or sorry, not the business, more like the theory behind like actually like implementing more advanced algorithms, and then, you know, Python's just a way to get there. I think for me, the biggest challenge is finding the work that will allow me to prove that I deserve to be a data scientist. Because the thing is, once you're a data scientist, once they give you that title, like people say that titles aren't important. I disagree completely. I think titles are incredibly important. I see the criticism people say when they say that, but like, I think titles are also important because like, there is a difference in the work that people do, and you do need to differentiate between the work people do, if only to like, you know what to pay people. I would say people are very protective of that data scientist title, and I'm not opposed to that necessarily, because the flip side of people being protective of the title is that the title means something when you get it. There are some companies that'll just give anyone a data scientist title, and Nordstrom's not one of those companies. And so it's, by being protective of the title, it actually means something when someone gets it, in more than one way. It means the work you do is different. It means the pay you get's very different. Again, like I was saying, like you're talking about a 1.5 to 2x difference in pay. And like a data analyst, you are like, I would say you're like, at the upper ends of like a solid salary in America. A data scientist, you're starting to get into more elite levels of salary, where like people are paid $200,000 in their 20s and their 30s, and almost anywhere that's good money. You know, even in New York, that's solid money. Obviously, it doesn't mean as much as it does in like say Texas, but like, you know, $200,000 in New York is not like a laughing matter. That's still like a solid salary. So that's what I would say. Okay, so no Ha Trong. Hey, you showed up to my live stream earlier, right? I want to predict stocks. What materials should I start digging in? Time series or any model? Look up the Quantopian. Look up Quantopian learning materials. I have them linked on my computer at home. Unfortunately, I'm on YouTube for mobile right now, which doesn't let me switch applications without cutting the stream. So I have it bookmarked at home. But go ahead and look up Quantopian's learning materials, and they have stuff specifically on predicting stock, the stock market. It's really, really good. They teach you how to become a quantitative analyst, basically, at least at the basic level. Mike Preston, SPSS, SAS, Tableau, Looker, which of these are worth learning? Tableau is in my opinion. I've never used SPSS or SAS. I will say I know some data scientists that have, and I've never heard a good thing about it. I've also personally never seen it used in corporate. Not saying it's not, but in like newer analytics implementations, I don't see it being used all that much, and I haven't heard great things about it. So, but Tableau is used quite a bit, so I would recommend Tableau of those things. If anyone has a different opinion, feel free to let me know. Kadisha Bryan, did you always want to become a data scientist when you started? Yeah, I've always wanted to become a data scientist. Excuse me. For multiple reasons, you know, like one, like the problems that data scientists get to solve, like when you are a data scientist, people pay you so much money that like they only want to give you interesting problems, right? And the interesting problems you get to solve as a data scientist are like, you get to use data in all these like really, really interesting ways. That's one aspect of it. And then I would also say, like, from a salary perspective, you're starting to enter like that like elite like yuppie class of people, where like as long as you don't really screw up, life is more or less set for you as far as like salary is concerned. And like data scientists make that kind of money where it's like basically, I'm simplifying here, obviously lots of stuff can happen. Like you could hit some like really bad luck, have like a family member who's uninsured, go through a major health crisis, lots of stuff can happen. But assuming no crises happen and you don't screw up, another benefit of being like a data scientist is that like the salaries that a lot of data scientists get paid is kind of like, you know, you're set for life. Just be somewhat frugal with your money, and invest well, and you'll be fine. So there's a couple of reasons. One, the work is very interesting, and then two, the salary you receive is the kind that'll keep you secure for the rest of your life, as long as you just keep working. Matthew Britzman. Hellos. Do you find a benefit to using Jupyter Lab versus Jupyter Notebooks? Yes, Jupyter Lab is a lot better. I personally don't use it. I use Visual Studio Code, but I have wanted to try out Jupyter Lab. I've heard great things about it. Jupyter Lab is a lot better in my opinion, because you can actually run a full project on it. A Jupyter Notebook doesn't let you do that. You can only run one notebook at a time through it. So I would definitely recommend it. Katie Tan, hello. I found your channel recently. I found it very helpful. Well, I'm glad you did. I have an interview at a Big Four consulting firm. Nice. For anyone not aware, Big Four consulting firms are one of the four big, well, I guess it depends on what industry you're talking about, right? Because if you're talking about accounting versus management consulting, it's different. Because if you're talking about management consulting, then there's a big three. There's, what do you call it? McKinsey, BCG, Boston Consulting Group, and Bain & Company. Those are the big three. If you're talking about accounting, then Deloitte and EY are up there. PwC, KPMG, those are your big four. So Katie Tan, just for my own curiosity, are you talking an accounting big four, or what type of big four? Because depending on the industry you're talking about, different firms are big for different reasons. Any advice on what to focus on for technical interview prep? Ooh, okay. So Bain has this tremendous video on their channel on case interview. So look up Bain case interview on YouTube, and it's a really, really good video on how you should break down a case interview question. Deloitte, nice. Deloitte is awesome. I was actually in the interview process with them before I came to Nordstrom. They kept losing. They wanted me to join they have the consulting side, and then they have a technical analysis side, which they wanted me to they were interviewing me for, but they were going through a major transition at the time, and so the speed by which they were going through the applications was quite slow, and so I ended up taking Nordstrom before I could finish my interview with them because it was taking so long. But congratulations, Deloitte is a tremendous company. Having that on your resume is top notch, and you could always decide to go the full, the whole hog consulting route and become a partner one day and just ball out, work crazy hours, but ball out and be someone who's doing crazy interesting work for one of the best consulting firms on the planet. So congratulations on the interview. Yes, so what to focus on for a technical interview prep? What is the job description? What's the job title they're looking for, and what technical skills are they interviewing you on? I always tell people, if you're having a technical interview, always ask what it's going to be on. You have every right to know, because for example, if you took me today, right? I'm really good at Python and SQL, but I would have to prepare for an interview still, because they have a chance of asking you questions that you don't work with this stuff regularly. So I would always recommend asking ahead of time, what is the interview going to be over? So do you know what the interview is going to be over? Oof, got someone shining a bright light on my face. Daniel Bishop, how old are you? So I'm just curious, how old do you think I am? Go ahead and, unless you already know, if you don't know, go ahead and put your best guesses as to how old I am in the comment section below. PHP comes up a lot. I haven't seen it used a lot. Daniel Bishop, for portfolio projects, is Jupyter Notebook sufficient for write-ups? Yeah, 100%. Just go ahead and host on GitHub. Mindful J, do you have a master's? I'm thinking about getting a master's science in data analytics. I would recommend a master's. I currently don't have one. I personally have been lucky enough not to hit any roadblocks without the master's degree, but I would like to get one in the near future. Okay, so I'm seeing 26, 27, 26, 28. I'll give it a couple more seconds, and then I will reveal my age. Let's see. As being a financial, let's finish up Katie's question. I do not know what will be asked in technical. Recruiter did not respond to me. That sucks. That's a tough one, right? Because if the interview's in Python versus SQL versus Tableau, those are very different things to prepare for. If the job description, what did the job description expect you to know? Did they say you need to know SQL, Tableau, Python? What was in there? Presumably they'll test you off of that. Okay, so we got a couple of guesses in there. 26. I'm 26 years old. My 27th birthday is in January, so it's coming up in 2 months, I guess. So, yeah, I'm actually surprised most of you got that right. I usually guess a little bit older than I actually am. All right. AS, being a financial data analyst is more around the realm of my job description I have. What's the best way to create valuable financial conclusions? Out of data in SQL and Excel, what tools? Thank you. So I wouldn't worry too much about the tools. I know I talk a lot about the tools in my channel, and that's kind of my fault as well. I just kind of see like learning the tools is the easiest way to like break into the industry, because like, you know, you could actually like do something with something. But I would say like don't worry too much about the tools. As far as like how to create value, I would say go and understand the business and understand people. Go ahead and start set up some time, 30 minutes with like just random people, like in your second line of orbit. So basically the people that like interact with the people you interact with in the company, and get to know them. And at the end of the interview, always at the end of the, you know, time you're with them, ask them a question. What is something that you want, that's been kind of nagging in this company, you've wanted to change but hasn't really changed? And after you ask that question of like 5 or 6 people, you'll start to see some patterns, some stuff that are like regular problems for a lot of people. And if you can solve those issues, you made a huge like promotion worthy impact in the company. That's what I would recommend. Let's see if there's anything from Katie, since we were answering her line of questioning. Okay, so next question. Let's see what we got. So, Del D. Sorry if you answered this, but I am a QA analyst, want to get a data science job, but I am not a coder by trade. What certificates are good if you want to get into Power BI? The Google Data Analytics certificate is what I would recommend. And I would highly recommend learning a coding language. Some people will say you don't need to learn how to code to be a data scientist. I don't understand that, because I'm like every data science, or I can't say every data science team, but like that's how data science teams like implement what they do. So I would recommend a coding language, specifically R or Python. I personally am biased towards Python. So yeah. Oh, wow. Python, SQL, Cognos, R, Power BI, Tableau, ETL, Cloud Experience. Okay, so this was obviously written by, okay. So what they're doing for your position, right? Because it's a consulting company. They are looking to hire a couple of people into this position, most likely. I could be wrong about that, but usually when they do that, they're looking to hire a couple of people. If I were you, I would go ahead and, over the weekend, go ahead and build a Tableau dashboard really quickly. Just make sure you're familiar with the interface and everything. If you haven't used Tableau before, I have a free course on my channel. It's, you know, just type in Tableau, Shashank Kalanithi, and you'll see it. Oh, sorry. I have a free Tableau course, a free Python course, and a free SQL course on my channel. So of these skills, you just need to know Python, SQL, Python, and, or R, SQL, Power BI, or Tableau. Cognos, I mean, you can't practice that over the weekend, in my opinion. I just read up on Cognos a little bit, just have some familiarity with it. Don't say you know it. Be like, oh yeah, I've read up on it. I have a basic idea of like, you know, what's going on with it, and I'm more than willing to learn how stuff works. So if I were you, go ahead and build a Tableau dashboard over the weekend, because they'll probably ask you about that. If you know Python, do a little bit of lead coding, and then like do some data cleaning over the weekend. I'd recommend that as well. And then SQL is a little bit harder to practice. HackerRank has some great questions you can practice on SQL. So go ahead and practice some SQL questions on HackerRank. That's what I would recommend. And I would say if you don't go out this weekend, that is very much in the realm of possibility of like everything you can do in this weekend. So what I would recommend is Friday night, so tonight, go ahead and put together a schedule for the weekend. Saturday morning, go ahead and do the Tableau, get Tableau out of the way. Saturday afternoon to evening, go ahead and do SQL. And then I would say if you are going to do Python, do that all of Sunday. That's probably the best way to like split up your time, something like that, you know? You know your skills better than I do. That's what I would recommend. Okay. What is next? Where is the next question? Okay, Davey Muniz. Do I need to be good at statistics, math to work as a data analyst? As a data analyst, no. You do need to know statistics at a basic level to be a data scientist. Although at Nordstrom, we tend to ask people some basic probability questions when they enter to be a data analyst. But our idea is we ask a whole slew of questions, and then like if people are good on like 2 of 3 skills that we ask for, so Python, SQL, Tableau, and some statistics, if people are good at least 2 of those skills, we're more than okay. Any advice for newbie business intelligence engineer? The advice I always give everyone is go around and talk to, like, set up meetings with people for like about 30 minutes. Even if they're not directly on your team, get to know them and ask them what is the biggest problem that's been that you've encountered in the last like year or so that hasn't been fixed, and just note it down. Like, but ask it more casually. Make sure you don't ask it in a way of like, oh yes, I'm going to solve this, because then people will start to have expectations. But you put all that together, you'll start to see like common patterns that people have. Do you need a master's degree? Michael Lee, do you need a master's degree or certificate in order to get a data analyst job? No, you do not need a master's degree for a data analyst job for sure. Let's see, Katie Tan, thank you. Really appreciate planning on watching that 3-hour Tableau video for sure. Awesome. I'm glad. That was actually my first video on this channel. So, all right, let's see what else we got. MG. Oh, by the way, anyone just joining the live stream, make sure you like the video. It's a great way to support the live stream and show me that, what we're doing is useful here. Also, I'm going to be on for about another 5 to 10 minutes. So I probably won't get through all the questions. Excuse me. So I probably won't get through all the questions. If you want me to answer your question immediately, feel free to send a super chat and I answer those questions immediately. Also my Patreon, and I have a YouTube membership now, if you guys are interested in seeing that. If you're on my Patreon or my YouTube membership, you get access to my Discord, which is being revamped right now. And all of the notes I make on like practical statistics for data analysts or data scientists and machine learning, hands-on machine learning. So just a quick plug for that if anyone's interested. Okay, so MG, where are you now? I'm still in college. I want to be a data analyst, but I don't know where to start, what skills to learn. I'm currently, Can you give me a way to be a data analyst? Python, SQL, Tableau. I have courses for all 3 of those on my YouTube channel. Highly recommend them. Eric Seriano, will it be a stream to celebrate your birthday all together? Of course, if you don't have... Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Yeah. Why not? I'll find like, 30 minutes to an hour or so on my birthday, and then we'll do a stream that day. I don't see why not. What machine algorithm do you use the most? XGBoost, probably. I think XGBoost is probably what I use the most. Ulysses Morales. By the way, thank you so much for joining as a Patreon today. I saw your, I was at Sam's Club at the time, but I saw your contribution, and thank you so much for it. Okay, so Ulysses Morales. Any thoughts on data science schools, like Lambda School instead of a master's? That's a difficult one. Here's the thing. A lot of these like boot camps are now charging as much as like, as a master's degree, which I find kind of funny. The benefit, I would say, with a master's degree, right, is that a master's degree is like a tried and true, respected institution in America. I can't speak for other countries because I don't live there, but like in America, if you have a master's degree, that's like tried and true and respected. Not saying boot camps aren't, or boot camps are not worth the money, but when you're talking about one versus the other, especially given how expensive boot camps can become, like some of them are the like cost of master's degrees, it would seem the more difficult but safer bet to go with the master's degree, I would say. That's my 2 cents on it. So I'm not going to tell you which one to pick, but I would keep that in mind. A master's degree has a level of prestige, and prestige is important. People say prestige is meaningless, but like at the end of the day, like someone mentioned that I went to a top college, right? Like, I mean, the only thing that matters about that is the prestige associated with it. That's the only thing people care about, and it can turn the heads of recruiters every once in a while. And but like what I learned in that college is not significantly different than what like my friends that went to other colleges learned. We learned the same content. I think if you did research at my university, it was probably a little bit better. But like I would say prestige is not something to just be discounted. Let's see. Noha Trang. I'm a finance student, cool, and now considering between a master's in data science and fintech. Do you have any recommendation for me? Thank you. That's a tough one. So those kind of questions are a little bit tough, right? Because you're an individual. You're very different from me. I have my biases. I have my interests and stuff like that. Can you get a master's in fintech even? When you say master's in fintech, what do you mean? Like, are there like fintech masters? I wasn't aware if that was a thing. Dylan and Sanders, are all programs PC-based, have a Mac? Yeah, I would say most programs are PC-based. PC is a safer bet as far as programs, as far as computers are concerned. But I use a Mac in my office and I have absolutely no issues. It's part of the reason, like, I on some of my videos, people are like, oh, you should use Power Query. Oh, you should use Power Query. But it's like, the reason I use Python is because it's free and language agnostic and operating system agnostic. I could use a Linux computer and still use Python. So yeah, I would say like I use a Mac, and it's made no difference in my workplace. So you are correct, but in many companies, it won't make much of a difference. How much do you make monthly from Patreon at the moment? I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to check. I'm just curious. Why would you like to know? Jack Punkochar, how do you get better at communicating, visualization, speaking, etc.? I think I'm good at technical skills, but I have a hard time explaining without rambling. Read the book Storytelling with Data. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books in relation to data. So Jack Punkochar, that's what I recommend. Read Storytelling with Data. It's a tremendous book. Ashwin Jumgade, Tableau or Power BI, which should I learn first? Go on to whatever job portal is the most popular in your area, and just do an informal experiment where you see which one is asked more from recruiters. Excuse me. Because they're both they are a little bit different, but they're both equally good, honestly. Yeah, I would highly recommend. I don't recommend anything. I personally use Tableau, and Tableau works on Macs too, which is awesome. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Go onto a job portal near your area and check out how much demand there is for each of those, and then just learn whichever one's more in demand. But I think they're both great. Thank you so much, Daniel. That's very, very nice of you. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look. I haven't looked in a while. Daniel Bushup, should we know how to create calculated fields on Tableau before interviews? 100%. You should definitely know how to create calculated fields. I ask that in all of my all the interviews I give people. All right, guys, so it is time for me to leave. I can probably look at one last question. I'm getting dinner with my parents, and they're waiting outside, so gotta head out. But thank you guys so much for joining. I do these live streams. I try and do them every single Friday, and I do on Thursday mornings. And that one's a little bit more consistent, because that's honestly just easier to do. Tijuana, Mexico. Hey, great to see you, Jose Alfredo Jimenez Morales. Thank you so much for joining. I'm actually thinking about getting some of my videos captioned in Spanish, because I get I'm getting a solid audience from Latin America. Obviously, my biggest audiences are in India and the U.S., but I can't do as far as India is concerned, I wouldn't even know what language to target. Because so many languages are spoken there. And so, I'd stick with English in relation to that. Obviously, in the US, people speak English. But the next biggest region is Latin America. And so I'm thinking about getting my videos captioned in that. Let me know if you guys think that would be interesting. If you guys think that having Spanish captioned videos would help increase my reach in Latin America, let me know in the comment section below. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much.